Is going on, everybody? I imagine that this is a time of night where um, it's a little later. I'm painting a little later than usual, but I felt inspired to do a new painting. This is a painting that I've been working on, but I kind of slowed down, and I realized that although I've been drawing a lot, I've been making up a lot of excuses, going through this cycle of procrastination on painting. Even though, I didn't really feel at my best to paint. So at some level, I felt like I wouldn't be able to create, the best work. But at the same time, maybe I've been listening to this book called The Art Spirit by Robert Henri. The book pronounces it Robert Henri, but I think it's Henri. But anyway, I've been going through this procrastination cycle that I've been having. I kind of had to think about what it was, and I think it's I can't paint again. I can't paint right now because I haven't painted in a couple of days procrastination cycle. And I know that sounds weird, but I usually like to share some of my intriguing thoughts tied to art. My fears, doubts, insecurity, things like that. As well as the positive, right? Like inspiration, overcoming procrastination, ideas, sharing my ideas. And I found what I think is happening is that I'm going through this cycle of, I haven't painted yesterday, so, it's okay to take a break today. It's okay to take a break today, so, I drew yesterday, I drew today, so I can, take a break tomorrow. And it's one of those things, you got to be easy on yourself or whatever. But at the same time, I also realize it's procrastination. And I feel like it's one of those cycles that I gotta nip in the bud. I got to cut it off before it's too late. So this is the most recent painting I finished right here behind it. I'm gonna finally move it to a different space. I'm gonna move it somewhere. This is the most recent painting I finished. It's a bit pretty wild and crazy. There's a lot going on here. You look at it one way, you look at it a different way, and suddenly all these stuff start to appear, and you get closer and closer, and it's like, whoa, okay, all these things suddenly start to appear, and I really wanted to create this disorienting effect with this painting, which I think I've fully achieved, so I can be very happy about that. Because I did post this on a criticism group, a painting criticism group, and all I got was negative comments or criticisms about the fact that this has it's totally confusing and wacky, and that was the purpose. So I feel like I achieved that, but also did a good painting. They said it wasn't a good painting, but I think it's a good painting, so that's all that matters. Now this is the piece that I've been working on in the past few live streams, but I'm going to take a break on that because I feel as if I'm inspired by something else right now. And honestly, this is a pretty easy painting to get back to. I could just jump straight in and out of this quite easily. So I'm gonna grab my materials. Oh, why does it keep getting stuck? Oh, I see. Okay, I'm gonna grab some materials for my next painting here. So I should have an extra canvas somewhere. Where's my next canvas? Did I use all my canvases? Alright. Looks like I'm going to have to pop open another canvas right here. So, I'm going to start a new painting after this, and maybe I'll finish it tonight. I feel like I've been listening to this book called The Art Spirit by Robert Henri, or Robert Henri. I think it's French. That's how I think it's actually pronounced, even though the book reader pronounces it Henri or Henri, but I think it's Henri. And that's what I'm gonna go with. So I felt inspired to do something a bit more expressive, less tight, more loose. And I'm aiming to finish it within like a couple hours, spend the evening painting this, whether it takes 2 hours or 3 hours. But I don't think I'm gonna go over 3. And the other personal challenge I'm doing here is that I'm going to paint it from my memory. Now I did take a couple looks at the photo, my reference photo, but I'm gonna try to do it from memory and feeling. So this is still kind of experimental. I guess not so experimental, not as much as I'm saying, but I've spent so much time working from the reference that this is definitely a challenging step for me as I make an attempt to paint it a little differently. So it looks like my canvases won't fit into a box together. So got my supplies ready, and we're gonna go ahead and get started here in a moment. Let me do a little cleaning up first. Just gonna do a little cleaning up. So let's see, this next painting, I hope it doesn't pull the paint off. I think this paint should be dry, so I feel okay placing it against it. But maybe what I should do is place, this would make much more sense is if I placed it on its side and then place this other painting so that it's kind of like, you know, not touching. There we go. That makes way more sense. Can you believe that? That, you know, why would we do anything that makes sense, right? It's like, who wants to make sense? But this makes sense. So, let's go with this. And honestly, I'm trying to think right now. Do I really want to like just? I've wanted to do a painting that's like diagonal, but I just don't know how I can possibly set this up. I'm trying to think here. Maybe if I pull up these little devices. I don't know why I just call them drones. But let's see how these kind of just sit. Can these just sit like this? Yes, kind of. Let's see, let's lower that a little bit, and then I think we're on to something, huh? And then let's see, maybe I could do a diagonal painting. This is just me fooling around, messing around, hoping that, you know, I could do something different. And I guess the goal here that I have to hope for is that there's not too much slippage, so I can't like accidentally hit this thing. There's not much holding this in place, so I'm just really hoping that I don't know, what does everybody think? How would you try to keep this painting in place? I think this does the job. We're gonna do a diagonal painting here, people. I wonder if I could do a better job of evening this out, actually. Let's see. I want to make it like more even as far as the horizontal element of this. So I'm trying to think if I can make this horizontal element let's See, is that going straight across? That looks like it's going straight across, right? It looks like it's going straight across. So let's go ahead and leave. Let's go ahead and set this up right here. We're going to lock it in place. And then, you know, if it's a little off, that's okay. But I just don't want it to be too off. So we're going to bring this up. And then I think what we got to do here and now is I probably have to get rid of this painting in the back. So pull this baby out and set it down. And this is one of those things where it's like, you know what, I am doing something just for the sake of doing something different. Whenever I analyze my messaging as an artist, I often wonder, like, am I doing it because I have something to say or because I just want to do something different? And I will say, this is definitely one of those moments where I'm not focused on some sort of message or thing as much as it is the effort to do something different that creates a disorienting feeling. So let's go with that. Oh, and you know what? Maybe, I'm trying to think if it would look better the other way. Like if I had painted it if I painted this way, let me see, I should just pop this off and just pop, oops. Would it look better? I feel like it would be better that way, right? Then I got to figure out how to organize. Let's see, if I did it this way, this way. Let's see. This is compositional planning here. I'm challenging myself with the diagonal approach. And you know what? I didn't really think about how specifically I wanted this angle to be, so still playing it here. Unfortunately, you're seeing this is about as interesting as watching paint dry is watching an artist with a blank canvas trying to figure out how they're gonna organize it. And you know what? This isn't a square, so there's a couple other challenges involved. All right, well, let's get started. This will be my first time painting on a wacky angled painting here, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully we'll get something fun out of it, something exciting. And I am challenging myself by not using a reference for this. For those of you wondering, I'm not using a reference. Now, this is totally an activity that most art teachers, art schools would not recommend. But sometimes you got to push yourself. You got to tackle your fears. You got to, overcome your personal rule book in order to try new things. I admit, I've had a lot of, before painting this, I had lots of self-doubt. I was constantly like, man, I have to go read a book. I have to go find an inspirational book before I can do this painting. I need to find ideas before I can do this painting. And maybe I do. Maybe at the end of this painting, I say to myself, wow, I should have spent some time to think more about what I'm going to paint. And I might say that. Or I might be like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. I like it. But what's up, Marianne Sorensen? How you doing? What time is it over there in Sweden or Norway? I know you tell me all the time where you're from, but yes. So here we go. We're gonna use the heck out of our Princeton brush right here. And let's clean up this brush, soak it in a little bit of oil just to get the oils running. Get this oil running, the oil and the juices flowing. Clean it off a little bit so that I can loosen up the oil, the previous oils that were in there. And now we're gonna put it back in the oil just to soften the brush. Honestly, I wasn't taught that, and I don't actually know if it does anything, but I feel like it at least helps to prepare the brush in some way, loosen up some of the fibers a little bit. 5 a.m. Well, good morning. And you know what? I'm going to tilt this piece back a little bit because I don't want it to accidentally fall off while I'm heavily painting. So I'm going to tilt it back just a little bit so it kind of like rests at an angle rather than any other way. But here we go. I've got this blue, and the blue is still really good. So I've got this blue here. And actually, let's lay down some more colors that I might want. I got this red, I got this blue. Let's add some yellow up here, some azo yellow. Throw down some azo yellow. We got the blues, the yellows. You might have a purple. So we're gonna focus on this little color palette here. Not gonna get too deep into color theory, but we will focus more on the yellow with the orange, red, blue side of things. So throw down this yellow. We'll start with the blue for our darker colors. And let's also bring in, let's start with some blue, so just straight blue. Let's actually pull in some red. We're going to go with more of a purple blue, a dark, really dark purple for this. And let's go like so. Actually, I'm trying to think of how. All right. I'll admit I'm kind of nervous because this is my fear brain, my self-doubting brain talking. I'm thinking, you know, because I don't know exactly what I'm painting, and I know like the super serious artist will think, okay, I'm gonna know exactly what I'm painting. I would have that sketched out. I should, you know, do the design of this, and I know that's the correct way to, you know, start a painting, but I feel like I want to do something a bit more spontaneous, a bit more playful, but without the reference, and it's, you know, gonna capture a certain idea, and because of that, you know, it's like I feel uncertain because most of what I paint, almost everything I paint, not everything, maybe like a quarter, 3/4 of what I paint, I have like a reference or some idea. So I have a reference, but I'm gonna try not to look at it. That's the overall goal here. So let's just get started here. We're gonna go. And if I try to break this into rule of thirds, let me try to use my own rule of thirds here. So if I was to use the rule of thirds, how would this be broken down? Rule of thirds broken down triangularly. If this is a third, this is a third. This is about a third. That's a third, that's a third. Actually, third will probably be even more. About right here. And then top-wise, like right here. I could still use the rule of thirds, but I want to use it at an angle. So I'm going to think like right around here is going to be where we do our third. If only I was a super mathematician and I could do this geometry here. So rule of thirds right here. I think that'll be good. So we're going to start right here. Let's just go with some basic shapes here. Okay. And then we're going to go with, want some black here. So I will use some black. Some black and white, actually. I should probably use some black and white. And throw down some black. It is a very challenging color to use, but we're going to use it. And then throw in a little bit of white. And here we go. By the way, it's Saturday night, everybody. Who paints on a Saturday night? Saturday night is not for painting. Saturday night is for going out and doing stuff. But you know what? This is the joy of painting. Just finding, keep sticking with your inspiration, finding your inspiration and going with it. So here we go. Finding your inspiration, just going after it, not letting things stop you. I guess that's, what many of my streams are ultimately about, is that freeness, that going after what it is that you want out of your artwork. So here I am. I don't have a little tube squeezer for this. Maybe I could swap out one of my other tube squeezers. There's another tube squeezer that I don't want needed right away. I feel like one of our kittens has been stealing my tube squeezers. Because how have I lost almost all of my tube squeezers? I don't understand this. So I'm thinking I'm going to need some white, but not too much white. So we're going to throw down some white into this area right here. That's a lot of white. and focusing on some big shapes right now. Let's go. Let's go with a dark color here. We're gonna fill in the dark colors first, and we're going really thick with this paint. We are going really thick with this paint. Let's see. We're rule of thirds. So head here, head here. How should this head fall? You know what? I need to just go faster with this and not spend so much time overly critical about how I'm going to paint this. Because no matter what, it's not going to be like, the goal is not the accuracy here of figure as much as it is about the expression of the idea. And that's what I'm aiming to explore here, is the expression of the idea. The expression of an idea rather than any specific look. Expression of the idea. I think it's one of those things where if I spend too much time thinking about it, every single detail, I mean, I guess there has to be some level of thought, you know? You got to think about it a little bit, but if you think about it too much with this type of painting, it just, I don't think there's going to be a freeness to it. There's not going to be there's not going to be a quality to it, a creative quality. It's going to lack a sensation. It's going to lack a feeling. So here we are. We're painting in the big blocks of color right now. And let's go. Here we go with, let's grab this red. Let's grab some of this yellow, mix in with some of this white here. Grab some more red. Grab some of this. And then we're going to go. Bring this down. Let's grab some more of this color because we caught some of this purple, but that's okay. We're okay with catching other colors here. We're going to bring this around and we're going to go so who knows? Let's see. I'm going to go with this and clean off this brush again because I'm catching too much of the black. Too much of the black and purple, which, you know, I don't mind if there's a little bit, but I still want to reduce the amount of it. And let's go like this. Painting the head. And here we go. Let's go like this. Bring this down with this color. Bring in some more of the yellow here. I'm going to bring this down. And who knows where this is gonna go? Let's see. And some interesting design here. All right, let's get some white into this. I'm gonna throw some white. And right now I'm just going pretty big with the shapes. I don't have a specific design here that I'm going for yet, but pretty much going big with these shapes for now. And you know what? It may end up staying like this, or we may do something totally different as we, work with wetter paint. So we're gonna throw in some more of this white down the center here. And then clean this up. And let's go with this same skin tone. Obviously these are two people. Oh, look at that. All the black has gotten into this, but you know what? Let's keep that. Let's keep this error, this mistake here, and let's leave some of this this craziness. We're gonna leave some of this. But you know what? No matter what, like, I'm doing all of this, and I'm allowing myself to just be a little bit wacky and let some of the colors mix up. But there's still part of me that says, although I'm allowing some of this, I have to do it well, right? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, even though you're gonna do something unusual, make something a little bit non-atypical, and by atypical I mean like just non-real, like anything aside from like realism, working directly from a reference. I still think it should be done with a certain quality, and that's what I'd really like to explore, and not just allow myself to let certain things get muddy just because. So I'm trying to figure out ways to tie this together, keep it unmuddied, but allow some of the things to still shine through, some expressiveness. And maybe that's just a matter of continuing to push this around, or maybe it is just a matter of just letting the black run through the yellows. So I don't know yet, but now it's time for the background. I've got the major elements of this. And let's go grab some of this blue. And here we go. We're gonna go, you know, I'm gonna start with something a little unusual. I'm gonna start with a just start laying down white paint against the black, against this wall here. Just lay down some white paint, grab some more of this white paint, and just lay it across. Just lay down some nice thick, ooh, see? This is why I had to set this all in place. But now I'm figuring out, like, how can I make sure that this does not get pushed in to where it's hard to work with. So I'm gonna have to just like hold it, I guess. Just gonna have to make sure that this stays in place here. You know what? There's a little bit of a yellow there. So I'm using a pretty big brush right here. And letting the red just kind of make its way through. You know what? I want to keep letting this red and white just kind of make its way through this. Let's start with the red this time. And then we're going to we're going to use the white to lay over it. Let's grab this white and use the white to paint on top of it and mix it in. All right, here we go. Got some of the pinks. Let's go. Let's go. I want to blend in some of this black. Only it would stay. Only this would stay. This painting would be so much easier. But we're not looking for easy, we're looking for different. I was looking at this criticism on Reddit, and the criticism said something along the lines of, there's no point in being different just to be different. Because that means you have nothing to say other than being different. Something like that, but I disagree. I think sometimes it's good to just paint something that people have not seen. This is dominated by yellow. And I think I need to loosen up. If I loosen up this paint a little bit more, I can get a bit more out of it. Which is only necessary to the extent that this helps me capture the background nicely. Painting quick. Painting before the idea escapes you. So here we go. Threw in some mineral spirits. I'm trying to thin out the paint a little bit so that I can spread it much easier and much faster. Trying to get around, create this sense of volume around here. And you know what's great is that oil paint, although it's kind of messy now, like I think there's still a lot of room. Still a lot of room with oil paint for me to shape and modify a lot of this. And still give it a feeling, an idea. So here we go, bringing in some more white to modify some of this area here. Nice, loose, thin white, just to fill in this area nice and fully. We're gonna go, let's grab some of this purple. And grab some of the purple here. Make this nice and loose, loosen up the paint by using our mineral spirits and just going around here. Just allowing this like muted purple to just fill the background. I think this is coming along. Capturing the idea. And I probably need some more blue. Let me grab a little bit more blue. I was inspired by this art book today. Although Robert Henri, the name of the book is The Art Spirit, I was inspired by this art book by one of a YouTube commenter. He said to read this book, so I'm reading the book. Yes, I do sometimes listen to people who randomly comment on my YouTube channel. But he recommended this book, so I decided to go look at it. And you know what? I felt inspired by this person, Robert Henri, who basically in the book he's talking about painting, but he's like, paint quickly, keep while the idea is still fresh in your mind, like don't let paint quickly is the idea that I kind of took away from the listening today, and I feel as if that is what I want to do, this idea of not letting an idea be fleeting, but allow it to kind of manifest into some work or other. that was the idea. All right, well, kind of at a point where I'm like, oh, what do I do now? It's kind of painted already. I almost want to just like finish at this and call it complete, but you know, let's see what else we could do here. You know, I've done everything I could with a big brush, I think, is the main idea right now. So everything I could do with a big brush. So it's time to mess around with the smaller brush here. Let's go. Actually, I want to keep the big parts really a bit more freeing. So here we go. We're gonna go right here. I want to make sure that I cover some of the areas. Like no matter what, if I want to make sure that I cover certain white spaces with the big brush, to not allow myself to get too comfortable with the small brush and just, you know, not allow myself to get too comfortable with a small brush. It's basically the activity, the exercise. You call it, you know, some might call it, some artists might call it, or teachers might call it just nothing but an intellectual exercise, right? But isn't all art pretty much an intellectual art exercise? Just like, does it produce anything of value? I don't know. And by the way, I'm sharing these like hypercritical thoughts. They don't actually necessarily reflect my thoughts on artwork. They're kind of like nonsense that I feel. Some of my thoughts that I share reflect my interpretations of some of the nonsense that I disagree with on the internet about art. So you might hear like a lot of things that I say that are like super critical, or like, you know, maybe things that aren't even necessarily said by art teachers, but maybe, you know, it's possible that one has said it. So, yeah, just sharing this idea that some of my criticisms, my thoughts, my ideas don't necessarily reflect a true reflection of everything that's going on, as much as it is, I don't know, kind of like a free, what's it called, a stream of consciousness that sometimes get lost in a painting. That's part of what I do on here, is I share too many thoughts, some of which become cohesive philosophical art discussion, and others become nothing but content and filler for this live stream. So some of these thoughts may entertain you, and some of them may just be for someone who watches it in the future and they're like, what the heck is this guy talking about? And I have to explain myself. So here we go. Painting up the sides here. Just the general activity, just to fill the whole canvas. And I'll share what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling like this this painting is like, kind of captures the idea, but there's still like more that needs to be added. It captures an idea, but it's still missing a lot of like interesting qualities that that need to be shared. So let me get rid of this brush. This was a good brush to start playing with, but now I need a brush that's gonna help me get to the next part. And what brush will that be? I don't know yet. I don't necessarily need to go too crazy, but I do want to have a brush that allows me to be a little bit wacky. Huh. How can I up this game? The game of this painting here. I'm trying to figure that out. Because at current, it's a pretty boring painting, if I'm going to be honest. It's like, you know, it's like interesting. And the fact that, you know, it's on the side is an attempt to say something, if I'm, you know, being honest and criticizing my efforts. But it's not really, it's not really doing more than that. There's no punch. So what are some things, what's on my mind is what are some things that can add a punch? I guess let's tighten up this space right here. I'm gonna go in with some yellows here. Some nice thick yellow paint. And let's just, you know, not think too much about how much paint we're using. It's actually quite a lot. More paint than really is needed. Want to know my biggest fear as an artist? My biggest fear isn't that I can't paint a pretty painting. I don't think that would be a that's not really a fear. And when I say fear, I'm not like, you know, terrified of the idea. It's not like a thing that stops me or anything. It's not like a limitation. But I was reading this, I was listening to this YouTube interview one time. And it was like some known artist. I don't even know what his art was like, but you know, the interview made him seem pretty important, so I kind of just went with it. And in this interview, basically, what he said was, someone asked him like, "What's the one rule you have for painting for people trying to become better artists?" And he basically said, if I had to say one thing to help people become better artists, it is this. It is never create a boring painting. So that's kind of like my fear, because not like if someone was to say it, I wouldn't be like distraught or whatever. But it's the idea that it is constantly lingering on my mind. What would make a painting more interesting? And I think that is going to be an ever-pervasive thing in the work that I do. Question that I must answer is what would make this painting more interesting? And I feel like it's not hitting the mark right now. So we're gonna keep working on this. It might take, I have a feeling, my goal is to finish this by tonight. I want to set a goal of not working on this more than one night. Mainly because there's a couple goals with this painting. One, to paint quickly, and another to, you know, be a little bit more expressive with it, have a little bit more fun, be less be less tight as far as from a visual perspective. You know, being tight, by being tight I mean you know, trying too hard to make everything just right, just perfect. Trying to achieve, you know, the right shape and the right design and everything. So I'm trying to avoid that. That's one of my biggest things that I'm trying to avoid in this painting. And you know what? A painting that's not boring doesn't necessarily make for a great painting, but I think coming from an idea, coming from that one simple rule, which, you know, no rule is enough to totally no single rule is going to make, you know, should totally be followed always, but I think that was a really good one. And if someone were to ask me what is like the one rule that I would like probably live by, at least right now at this point in how I make paintings, I would definitely quote that guy. Unfortunately, I don't know his name, but I would definitely quote that guy and just say, yes, this is one of my guiding principles right now. That's it. Just don't make a boring painting. No matter what. Even if I have to like scrape whatever off and do all these things to like, if I have to like throw paint on it, I don't know. Whatever it is that I need to do to not make a boring painting, I will do it. So, anyway, you know, that could all change. That could change in the next 10 minutes. Someone could enter here and say something and totally transform my belief system that I've been developing and totally change that. Let's see, where should this go? We got that. Yeah, let's get some of these finer details into here. Let's see. Let's bring in some of this blue on top of this black. I want to give the black some texture. You know, it's a little bit of texture, not too tight, but just enough to like create an interesting design here. Just give it some more dimension. That's the goal with this paint. You know, maybe add in a little bit of a blue here. Let's go with some blue. Add in some blue. Bring in some more of the black to add some texture here. Maybe get a bit tighter with my mark making. I'm getting, it's kind of loosened up a little bit. And you know, the background is something that's really supposed to tie this all together. You know, the background is always something that ties things together. So I'm kind of like, what would go into the background? Honestly, I'm almost tempted to pull like a Francis Bacon and just kind of like smudge this. Even though I know that's not his technique, but let's see. Sorry, look, I picked this up. Ooh, I have sponges. So I picked up this idea that that Francis Bacon often used all sorts of materials inside of his laboratory. And I'm wondering how I can apply that concept to like add, huh, how to add more design to my artwork. And I need something that's not here. This sponge I don't think will work. I gotta find another sponge. But I also think a towel will work. But let me go get a sponge real quick. An artist sponge. So here's another thing I've been a bit of a wimp on, is using other materials that I have available. So like, you know, it's so easy to get stuck painting nicely with a brush. And just like painting with a brush, that it's so easy to get stuck. And you know what, I think I can, while I'm doing this background, I can actually lay this down so I'm not trying to fight. That's how it looks when you hang it. That's kind of funny. All right, so I'm not like trying to fight the whatever you call it, the angle. I want to try to actually, let's how are we gonna do this? Hopefully this brush gives me the effect I want. I don't think it will, because I think the pores are a little bit too small. So let me try this brush. This might be a little bit better to get some impact here. We'll see. We will only see. You can only see if you test it out, right? You never know until you try. Nope. You know what? That's not really doing very much, huh? It's kind of just like making a scratchy sound. But look, at least we are getting somewhere. And honestly, there's so much wasted paint there. What am I going to do with that? All I can do is press it on, right? This is a horrible sponge because I've used it for so many projects. I think what I should have done is just use this side. Ah, there we go. That's kind of cool. That's like a interesting texture that I'm getting here. Yeah, that's neat. But all in all, I don't think this brush is gonna give me exactly what I'm looking for here. So we're gonna scrap that. You know, I made all these scratch marks, but I think that's kind of neat. You know, I'm just gonna mess around with that. And you know, I've got the overall angle. So like, I started like this, and I think it's very disorienting, and we kind of have like this interesting look going on. So I think I could actually work from here at this point. So what am I gonna do? I am going to pull this up so that I can actually work easier, because I feel like it's settled at a point where, you know, we're good to go. So let's grab some of our white. Let's use a side of this. We're going to use a side of this, dip it in a little bit of our oil. I'm going to dip some oil into this. Let's just see where this goes, you know. Well, you know, it's not really doing much, but you know what? It does create an interesting effect here, doesn't it? Like, I just hope that it doesn't kind of like, what is that? And I have no clue. What is this? That's not good. You know what? Let's go like this. Let's bring back some of this white. We're gonna paint with a sponge. How about that? That sounds fun, doesn't it? How do we paint with a sponge? Let's go. We're gonna bring that down. Let's have some fun. Let's bring that up. I'm gonna pop some white in there, and then a little bit of white in there. How do we really pump this up? Like, I still want to capture the idea of what was here, and you know, that's the fascinating thing. I've been looking at a lot of Francis Bacon work. Hello, it's been a while since you've gotten on last. What is the inspiration for this one? So, I had a friend who popped up at my last art show. What's up, the creature? So I had a friend who came to my last art show, and she had this really interesting photo. So this is myself and a friend at one of my art shows, but also I shared some inspiration earlier. There's a lot of things that, you know, that photo. Actually, you know what? The photo is a reference, but the inspiration is a lot of things, right? A lot of factors. Part of it is this book that I've been reading. One of my, I guess one of my viewers commented on my channel about about a book called The Art Spirit by Robert Henri. So there's that book, and I was reading it. It was just talking about making portraits, painting fast, and you know what? Really aiming for like a level of expression in your work, and keeping up with that concept. I've seen this. I've been listening to, looking at Francis Bacon paintings. Amazing artist. And you know what? Like, I look at a Francis Bacon painting, and here's what's so fascinating to me is like my mind mentally wants to like understand the painting. And that is not the way to go about looking at a Francis Bacon painting. I mean, I guess anyone can have a whatever approach to looking at whatever art they want, but but trying to make sense of it is not like, it's not like the way to go. What is this guy? I don't know. Draw a black mark right there. But yeah, I've been looking at Francis Bacon paintings, and I'm just like, there's just something. I mean, obviously he's a really successful artist, one of the most important artists of all time, yada yada yada, of course. But then like I try to look at the painting, and you know my mind wants to make sense of it, and I just think his work is like, you know, fascinating because of this idea that like the brain wants to work so hard to try to make sense of it, to try to figure out what he was doing, when in reality he was probably just, you know, mucking around, just enjoying his efforts as an artist. And you know what? This is starting to feel really incohesive, this painting, and I want to try to tie it together somehow. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to go with let's go with a full-on rag, or what else can we use? Let's mess around. I'm gonna go. Hoy. So I'm grabbing a paper towel. By the way, the creature, what have you been up to? How are you doing, creature? What's my favorite thing to mainly paint the most? No, I think it's not really subject matter as much as it is the overall process of playing with paint. The overall idea of just taking paint and finding new ways to mess around with it, exploring new ideas, and that's probably one of my favorite parts, honestly. Let's see how we can add color into this. Maybe we'll go with, not maybe, we are. We'll go with, let's see, let me find a tube of paint that I need to pretty much use up. Let's go with this red ochre. So I need to dump out the rest of this red ochre so I can finally have this this tube of paint, this tube, make it available. And let's make use of this red ochre here. Okay, so one tube down. This is a 12 milliliter tube, so quite a small tube. For the way I paint now, this wouldn't last very long. This would probably last like maybe 2 paint sessions. But the way I used to paint, you know, smaller paintings and everything, totally different effect. And you know what? Let's throw some tape on here. Let's see what our tape can do. So we're going to throw some tape. Like this. Just throw it across this. It probably won't stay very long, but that's okay. Oh, look at that. It's got an interesting effect though. It's kind of like peeling the paint off, which is kind of cool. It's kind of not the purpose, because why would you want to peel paint off that you just so spent the effort to put on, but you know what? You really gotta push yourself to try new things if you're gonna create something different. So let's see, how can we do this in an interesting way? Let's go down like that. And I'm going to dip this into some mineral spirits, this paper towel here. And personally, your favorite thing to paint is mushrooms and jellyfish. You've been doing all right too, but you got to go to sleep. Hey, take care. Yes, I did start a little late tonight, but you know, thanks for popping in and, you know, saying what's up. All right. I think that's about all we really need to do. Let's take a big dab of this and just layer it on. And you know what? I do want to add a couple more colors, but I'm going to throw this paper towel away. I don't really like the paper towel idea. I do really love the way this sponge effect works, but I don't like the paper towels so much. Now let's see what we get. That's kind of cool. I don't know if it's that amazing, but I can see promise in the sense of where I can go in the future and play with this idea of just like using whatever materials are here, like, you know, just messing around, creating like something disorienting in a way. So let's throw this tape away. And let's think, what are we going to do with this background here? Actually, I probably need more yellow. I want to use more yellow. A little bit more yellow, brown. Let's see, add some more of this yellow. Throw that yellow down. Oh yeah, I really got to get in here and kind of paint something interesting. Let's go with this ochre here and grab some of this yellow. Let's just kind of rub this in here. That's different, right? Something interesting. It's not too difficult to really it's not too difficult to just go all out on a painting and, you know, mess around with different supplies. I think it's the only thing really is it's a mental it's a mental block. If you ever have a challenge, you know, like I know the thought is, hey dude, like, you know, I'm talking from the realist painters, right? The idea is, hey dude, like, I can just dot stuff around with a sponge, right, and call it paint, but like painting. But You know what? You can't. Most people can, but I think the truth is most people won't. First of all, like, you know, paint is pretty expensive, and one thing that I was listening to in this book today, they were constantly talking about, like, you know, one of the worst things that a painter can do as far as how their brush strokes look, their giveaways in brush strokes is being meager with their paint, i.e. being really cheap with paint. And, you know, when things come to it, right, a lot of artists, the cost of paints and everything, I think when that comes to it, you know, a lot of artists aren't ready to just like do a painting that they'll probably end up throwing away. So, you know, it's one of those things too. Financial, mental, physical. And let's see how we can spice up this figure. Like, how can we spice this up? And then here's the other thing, you know, this is like conversation, just random art thoughts about pretty much abstraction. I mean, I guess this is figurative, right? This is something between figurative and abstract work, because you can kind of tell what it is, but, you know, there's still things that make you not able to tell. So, yeah. But I think there's some things about abstract painting in a certain way that, you know, it's really hard for some people to work through. I think there's a fly on my head because I feel something falling. I've been having a lot of fly problems this summer. Oh, come on, tape, stay down. There we go. And we're gonna go. So here we go. We're just laying down tape in some unusual ways. That's it. Like laying down tape in unusual ways, and this really is just having fun. Ideas inspired by a variety of sources. I want this to intersect this body here. Ah, the tape has fallen. And I also wanted to pick up some of the paint that's in these spaces. And we're going to create a variety of effects here. How do we, kind of almost like went straight through the center, so I want to do something right here because there's so much going on the outside. You know, I want to find some balance on this side, balance this out with something. I don't know what yet, but just messing around with design. Here's what I think are some of the mental blocks to abstracting in art. And I'm not, you know, saying that as an expert on abstract art, like a super connoisseur, you know, but more so as like a creator of it, who, you know, deals with my own challenges. You know, I think first of all, you have to be able to think abstractly, but this isn't really abstract. This is more expression, right? But first of all, you have to think abstractly. which sometimes that's a lot of math. Sometimes that's like design, having an eye for design. Sometimes that is having an eye for color, shape, form. Like there's so many things that go into abstract art that yes, you could copy it easily, but to actually come up with an idea itself is requires quite a lot of effort. So that's number one. I think number two is simply the mental block. The mental block of a, like if you're a typical person, right? We all know that the Mona Lisa is a great work of art. We all know Leonardo da Vinci is one of the greatest geniuses of all time, if not considered the biggest genius of all time or whatever. We all know, and even though we know, like, do we all agree? I don't know, but we can all agree on a lot of things that, some of the Renaissance painters, the people that painted the walls of the chapels, and, amazing Hudson Bay artists were some of the greatest of all time, and everything was beautiful and everything. And I hear a lot of criticisms about modern contemporary abstract pieces. A lot of criticism, but you have to overcome that doubt too, right? So if you're an artist or you want to do like abstract work, like it's hard to know what is going to be good or not. And at some point, maybe it doesn't really, maybe that's not what you should be worried about, right? Like, I don't know. What else? Like the mental block is the main big thing for any artist, right? The self-doubt. I mean, it's one thing. It's easy, I think, to take a picture and go, hey, I want to paint this picture, and I'm going to make it as close to realistic as possible, right? I would say that that's a pretty easy mental challenge to do. It's just saying, hey, let me just take this. It's easy. But I think it's harder for some people to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to paint something and then kind of like mess around with it. But anyway, what's up, Mark Dietz? This is getting a little late, but how are you? I'm doing a little abstract versus purely figurative art rant. This has too much white, so we're gonna tone that down. Some red. Make this look like ice cream. So Mark. Thanks, Mark. So what do you think are the biggest obstacles that people have to making less figurative art? What do you think are the major obstacles? That's what I've been basically sharing, is what I feel are some of the major obstacles why, although abstract art can look easy, like right now, I'm just doing this and it's pretty simple. Like I'm basically randomly going around with a a sponge and just doing stuff. And it looks easy, and it is easy, physically simple, but when I think about it, it wasn't easy to get to this point, to be honest, because I had to, you know, I had all these like doubts about what it could be and why it would be too funky or whatever, or why it wouldn't be good. Maybe it's not good, I don't know. But it's just easy to let ideas just kind of get in the way. What's your thoughts? What you're making? Oh yeah, so I'm making this interesting painting. I think it's interesting. But this is a painting that actually, you know what? This is another art. Who's that? Who's been here? Omizu. He is actually uses a lot of stencils, and part of this is kind of just stencil work. So actually, let me go in with a smaller brush now. Oh, by the way, to answer your question, ATG, this is a painting. The reference source is a friend of mine. She went to my art show recently, and she took a really interesting photo. So I decided to use that as a reference for this painting. But I wanted to do this painting really abstract and not so figurative. So I decided to go a little wild on it, and here we are. So just a fun and expressive painting using all sorts of different tools. I think I'm on my last 2 brushes now. I'll probably be done pretty soon. Let's go. Let's paint the idea of some eyes here. I'm going to use this hard brush. Idea of some eyes. We're going to reduce that tonality here. Go into this white, yellow, red. Hey kitties, what are you doing? Be nice to each other, okay? Can I show the reference? Yeah, I can show the reference. So this is the reference. And as you can tell, I'm going for something quite different. But this brush is not doing a job. It's kind of just like scraping stuff. Just scraping the paint here. So I might switch the brushes in a second. Because they are. Because why not? See, that's the problem with showing your reference. And I think that's the insecurity a lot of artists have. Is they don't want to show their reference because they don't want people to think like, oh, this doesn't match this or that doesn't match that. But that's totally like not the point of this painting. I mean, actually, you know what? I put it there, so yes, long legs is one of the points of this painting. I take that back. I correct myself. I stand corrected. But you know, some things just aren't meant to be overanalyzed. And you know, I need to procrastinate for a second. I'm going to procrastinate by separating some of these pieces. About to head out. Hey, take care, ATG. Hope you're doing great in school. How's that going? So I need to separate some of my brush pieces. And here you go. All right, so just getting out the hairs, separating these hairs, because when they get stuck together with paint, the hairs get really hard, so it becomes hard to work with. But if you separate them a little bit, spend some time to separate them, you could kind of like soften it a bit. It's not totally effective. Like no matter what, this brush is pretty much done for, but at least I can soften a little bit and mess around with it and see what I can possibly do with this brush. I'd really like to keep, you know, going with it because it's a high quality brush, but unfortunately I didn't take care of it properly, and you know, I believe I let. Actually, you know what? I didn't. I don't think it was. It is. So. I had left this brush, how I think this brush got messed up was I did clean it properly, but I had failed to, so I was carrying my thing and it got stuck next to the palette, which had a ton of paint on it. So all the paint got stuck on this without me realizing, and because of that, the paint got caked in. And I think at that time I hadn't painted or used this brush for a little while. So these little kittens are causing so much trouble. So I think at this point it's pretty much I don't know. Let's see how else I can kind of scrape this up. Maybe if I scrape it a little bit. Kind of design my own brush. This is probably the perfect brush to kind of design your own brush from. Because It's still maintains its softness, but it has lost its hold. See, now it's nice and soft again. It's pretty much almost like a round brush, but let's go with this. See what we can continue to do with this. Go back down with the black here. I'm gonna go paint down. We're going to add some major sections of white around here, so we're just going to go boom, 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 boom. Just give it some decoration. Howdy, what's up, Croson? What's going on with you? Haven't seen that name in a while. And let's go like this. We'll go. I gotta paint some things that are mysterious in this thing. Looking for motivation. Well, here's the question. What are you looking for motivation to paint? And don't say nothing, please. That's not like, you know, obviously you could say nothing. I'm not trying to make you make something up, but like, you know, there's got to be something that you want to paint. Something. So I'll share with this painting. I was just thinking about this like this morning, and I was sitting in my living room, and I wanted so badly to say that I didn't actually want to make this tonight. You know, I wanted so badly to procrastinate and, you know, be like, oh, you know, maybe I should go to Barnes and Noble right now and pick up an art book to like study up on art and try to find ideas. So I was literally sitting on my couch for like maybe a half hour, maybe an hour. I was searching for books and ideas, and you know, it kind of hit me like, I have this idea. What is my procrastination? Like, I knew I was procrastinating because I wanted to do something. And you know, if you were to ask me, like, what I should paint, I'd probably be like, at the time, I'd probably be like, oh, nothing. I don't really want to paint anything. So, you know, I don't, my bad for, I guess I was projecting my own fear onto you, my own self-doubt that I had earlier. So I shouldn't project that onto you. That's why I said, and don't say nothing. I don't know why I was assuming you had nothing. But anyway, back to what you were saying. You know what to paint, just don't have the motivation. About a $300 commission. Woo! Dude, congratulations. You're a pro. You're a pro. Let's see. Let's go just add some items here. Fantastic, dude. So glad to hear. So happy for you. So what are they, if you don't mind me asking, if you don't mind sharing, what's the project? What's the idea, the premise that you're going to be working with? I want to keep going all out with this. So I've got the red, white. I mean, this is very red, white, and blue. I kind of use that color theme a lot. And I figure, oh yeah, I'm kind of standing on something. Let's throw some more yellow. Add some more red into this. In a nutshell, an abstract landscape using oils and cold wax. Well, that sounds pretty awesome. Like an amazing project. And it sounds like you're the one to do it. You are the one that has the vision, the creativity, the idea that must be executed. Again, congratulations on an exciting project. And where shall I put this red here? Get some of this. Just need some decoration, you know? Need some decorating colors here. Let's see. uh, 18 by 24 panel. Natural abstract landscape. Dude, that's a big painting. That is a significant painting, dude. That will cover a wall quite a bit. Cover quite a large wall. You know what I want to draw? I want to draw a giant rabbit in the background. So how do we find the right color for this? Well, what am I got? What have? Don't do that, Fern. Sorry, I had to yell at my cat because she was eating the crap out of one of the kittens. She was like lifting him up by the scruff of his neck. My goodness. Fern, don't do that. All right? That was way too rough. She was like, holy crap. Did not see that. You okay, dude? Huh? Hey, Scout, come here. You alright, buddy? That's not good, Fern. Can't be that rough with him. You're 10 times his size. Fern, be nice to him, okay? Play gently. Fern, play gentle. I'm watching you. Be gentle. Is it pointless to talk to cats like this? To try to talk sense into them? I feel like I have, like I feel like I have to keep an eye on them now. What's going on, dude? Are you alright? Whew. Cat kitten drama. Sorry all of you had to see that. What needs to go around? Still trying to figure out some of this. Let me go in with this yellow. This one come across the top like this. And here we go. So, continuing like this. And then we're throwing the rest of this hand, arm movements, and legs. Hey, Scout, dude. Hey. What's going on, man? You okay? Fern, play nice, alright? Jeez. Okay. And here we go. So, let's see, where shall we add these spots of color? And here we go. Let's go with some general expression stuff. It is definitely two figures, and you know we are keeping it pretty blurry. So I'm going with a bit of I was experimenting with Francis Bacon style artwork, and I was trying to really figure out like how does he create some of his like designs and stuff. But I think I figured it out. Like he probably uses a sponge. I think he uses a sponge to create some of the face textures, and he was just totally confident with just totally confident with like just, you know, I just made up a sound, but how do I kind of make ochre? I haven't used an ochre in a while. So we're going to throw down this little ochre here. And I think that's what we're going to use to top off a lot of this painting here. So let's go bring in this yellow ochre. Omizu, what's going on, dude? How you doing? I was just talking about you earlier. I was saying, what did I say specifically? Said something interesting. Can't remember. Thanks. Cool piece. Thank you. Here we go. So Fern, if you want to play, just be nice to them, all right? You need to lift them up by their necks. Yes, this is a sponge I'm using. Dude, I swear, like, just earlier I was talking about something that you helped to inspire, but I can't honestly remember right now. It is escaping me because I'm pretty tired. But I think after this, I might be done. Yeah, so Amiza, you had said something on one of my streams that like really kind of stood out to me. I don't remember exactly what it was, honestly. but it was, I did mention it, I can't remember what it was, but you have helped contribute to this painting in some positive way. Ah! Damn, it hurt. Alright, we're gonna go with this brush. Ah, dude, stop scratching my leg. Well, kittens are being jerks. Are you learning that from Fern? Fern, what are you teaching them? I know you don't like to babysit, but... Yeah. What there was something that you had mentioned. I'm trying to remember. That's why I keep bringing it up. But for some reason, it is escaping me right now. And and I feel like if I keep repeating the idea, I might eventually remember what it was. However, it is not working. That strategy is not working, so I feel like I must try something else. Hey. I think we might almost be done. I don't know if I really need to change up any designs or anything. Maybe throw in some red, purple, green up in this place. What the heck is that? I don't know. It's a random box. You know what? We're gonna erase this with a sponge and just create like a little design here. You know, I need to add some highlight to this. I really want to add highlight to this, but I'm trying to think of what would be the best color to go on top of it. So maybe some form of yellow, pink, and then we're just going to blend this in somehow. And hopefully it creates, you know, this interesting twisty design. So I want to like reduce the amount of like shadow in here. So what's the piece about? So I have a friend who came to one of my art shows recently, and she got this great photo, and I wanted to do a painting of it. But I had all these different inspirations. Like there's this book that I'm reading that's someone randomly commented. They told me about this book called the Art Spirit. I don't remember their specific name, but they told me about that book. And I picked it up and I felt inspired to paint quickly. That was one of the ideas in the book is paint quickly. Not slowly, quickly. Oh, you know what I mentioned? Oh, I remember what I mentioned about you, dude. So, earlier, I was using tape. Earlier, I was using tape to put over this painting. And it came up with these textures that I remember. It came up with some textures, and I was like, oh, you know, like Omizu is the one who inspired some of those, because he does a lot of like what are they called, stencil type, or not stencil, but like, you know, some of your pieces that have like a stencil design with it. So I was just like kind of addressing that and saying that that's your piece helped to inspire that. I just thought of something that would be funny. Just need some expressive brush marks. And then let's go thicker with this green here. I want to go thicker with it. Yes, stenciling. So so I use the tape here, and I put the tape down, and yeah. So instantly, as soon as I put the tape down, I started to see some of the textures. I was like, oh, who does that? How did I get these ideas? And then I was thinking, oh, Mizu. That's how I got some of these ideas. At least the tape portion. I was saying you do a lot of that. I love these green. I love this green, how this green naturally appears on this painting. And then let's do little pops of red. Little pops of red on here. And let's see what else we need. There's a lot of movement in this painting, I think. Quite a lot of movement and ideas. But yes, I didn't quite stick with the stenciling idea, but it was nice to see kind of how it turns out. I get a little bit of red right here. And then I need some of this blue to create two eyes. And then black. Let's grab some black. And I think that's it. I think we're done here. I think we are finito. Let's add a little bit more expression on this section right there. There we go. That looks a little better. And you know, so here's a problem I just realized. So this painting I originally designed to be at an angle. So let's see how this looks at an angle before we get too excited. I'll wipe my hands off. Look how dirty the shirt. Actually, you can't see that, but the shirt is quite dirty right now. So let's see how this looks at an angle. May or may not have kept up with our. The original premise may have been lost, but you know what? It's kind of cool. It's interesting. All right, I think we're done, people. All right, well, that was a fun paint session, 2 hours, 18 minutes. Aim to do a really fast painting. A very free painting. I came in here with an idea of a reference, but I mostly did not use it. But, you know, this is definitely inspired by a lot of different people. I tried to use a little bit of Francis Bacon. I've been obsessed with his paintings because, you know, I look at them and like part of me so badly wants to like figure out what it is. You know, is it a human face? Is it, well, you know, is it somebody's nose? Is it an eye? Like, what is it? And, you know, I came to this conclusion that the obvious answer is that it's not meant to be really like, you're not really meant to know exactly who it is. That's not the purpose of his work, at least to my understanding. I could be wrong. I'm no Francis Bacon expert, right? But at the end of the day, I think, yeah, that's the whole idea. Is it's not necessarily what the point of his work is. You know, there's a lot more to it. So I experimented with some of his ideas, and of course, I mentioned earlier just now, Mr. Omizu Paints kind of led to some interesting stenciling stuff. Although, you know, it didn't necessarily stay into this painting. It was fun to explore the idea of putting tape on it. I didn't really like the effect, or I didn't feel it was cohesive enough. But yeah, I should put a signature on it. Should I put a signature on it? Let's put a signature. Let's grab right here this bit of blue. Oh no, it's too much paint, but we'll do it anyway. And you know what? I could probably use this and scratch up the painting. That'd be kind of neat, huh? I don't know if I like that. Yeah, no. I'm trying to do too much. Don't do too much. I've done enough. It's not going to add to the overall effect of the painting. So basically what I got to do real quick is stretch this out. Ever scratch stiff in using various objects? I have not. And you know what? This is scratch stiff right here. Funny that you mentioned that. So I haven't explored that, but maybe I will one day. Just with this one, I feel like, it's at a point where I don't really need to experiment anymore. I've gotten to the point of what I wanted. All right, so we're gonna wrap stuff up, but everybody, I just wanted to say thank you for being here. And this is our work. This is the work. So I actually started off. Let me, if you want to summarize some things. Today was like a bit of a challenge for me. I hadn't painted in a couple days. And I decided that I had been drawing. I've been drawing, and I hadn't painted in a couple days. But the reason why I kept putting it off, I almost didn't paint today for two reasons. One of the reasons was because of procrastination. And then the other one was fear. And it was like the fear, like I was mentioning to Omizu earlier, like I was sitting with the idea of this painting, and I had all these ideas flowing in my head. I was like, oh, I shouldn't do it today. I'm not ready. I should I should read a couple more books about art before I do this. I should get more inspiration before I try. And you know what? Whether it may be or may not be good, consider good by anyone. But I feel like the fact is that getting myself to do it was the big obstacle to overcome. I was constantly looking for ideas. I was sitting on my couch looking, feeling like, oh, I don't have enough resources, or I have to make it a certain way, or I shouldn't do it and experiment with this like abstract way, so like I could put it off. And then the other part of me was also like, hey, Emmett, you didn't paint yesterday and you didn't paint the before. You might as well just quit painting altogether, right? Like you have totally failed because you haven't painted for 3 days straight. And this is gonna sound weird. This is like that critical mind, right? And if you allow your critical mind to dominate you, I think you will not be better off for it. So, is that like really how I believe that I shouldn't? It's just thoughts, fears, doubts, criticisms, personal ideas that make no sense really. Like it would never make sense that just because you haven't done something for 3 days, maybe even a year, maybe it's like 5 years, doesn't make sense that you shouldn't try it again. Okay, buddy, I'll come feed you in a minute. Relax. Can you go to the kitchen right now while I'm talking? All right. Yes, he's going away. See, he understands what I'm saying. These cats know what I'm talking about. I just had to like address him, and now he's going to the kitchen. What a smart dude. So, yeah, that's the idea. I wanted to play with a couple different ideas, and this is what we came up with. I'm happy with it. I think it's too many things at once. If I was to really kind of think about it, it's a lot of things at once, a lot of different ideas. Maybe lacks a little bit of a cohesion, but I feel like I came to some discoveries. I feel like after looking through Francis Bacon's work, after reading a lot of analysis of his work, there's some fun discoveries with a sponge. Let's just put it that way. And I'm not saying I would ever be able to, you know, do that type of work. But there is some amazing things that, some amazing ideas in his work that I try to play with as far as technique goes. But fun stuff. Amazing. All right, cool. Well, everybody, those are my wrap-up thoughts. I hope that me being oversharing some of them is helpful to somebody, because it's definitely helpful to me. You know, when I'm able to think about why it is that I procrastinate, why it is that, you know, I might not do something that I want to do, which was, you know, come up with a painting idea, explore some of these different ideas. What was stopping me, right? Nothing. Limitation wise, there's nothing physically stopping me, except for time, because I had some only limited time today. But yeah, not only is it helpful to me, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who, you know, do face these challenges. Who, I don't know, maybe if there's someone talking about it, especially men. You know, I think there's quite a lot of support for women these days. And by the way, you know, there's always been boys clubs, right? I'm not men's clubs and things like that. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but I think as a modern man or a modern person who identifies as male, there is definitely and there shouldn't be, but I think there's definitely a stigma to men talking about their personal challenges, being able to get those ideas out there. And although I'm not like usually having a conversation about these things, I think that hopefully this helps other people think about what they feel limited by, or, you know, even carrying some of these things over, like artwork, into other areas of life, exercise, fitness, relationships, marketing your artwork, you know, all these different areas that can be addressed with just finding a way to talk about it. So I do this live stream. It's almost stream of consciousness. Say a lot of things that probably a typical artist or professional person would not share. But I do it. It's all part of the game, people. It's all part of the art, the game, the game of life, game of YouTube, whatever. So, anyways, take care, everybody. Little end of the night rant, and hope you all have a great evening.